Okay, here we are for the end of the year City Council meeting. It is December 27th, 2018, and we'll start the meeting with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Solomon. Modrick. Nordstrom. Drew. Scott. Drury. Laurenti. Roberts. Armstrong. Lewis. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. And will you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And now for the adoption of the agenda, I would like to add an agenda item prior to item number 1, and that would be public comment.
Move to adopt.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt. Second for Richie Nordstrom. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, is there any public comment from the audience? Is there any audience? Would you like public comment, sir? Okay. Okay, that'll end our public comment. Item number 1 under ordinances. Second reading, ordinance number 6293, and ordinance regarding supplemental appropriation number 8 for 2018. We're going to go to Amanda Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the second reading of this ordinance, and there was one change that was added between first reading and second reading. I had raised some questions because there is $430,000 that is being included in here that is coming out of undesignated cash out of the general fund. And in reviewing this, I just want to make some comments, and then I think I have just a couple follow-up questions. When I did the totality, first of all, what I'm alluding to is I really want to congratulate the Public Works Department because they basically took money from their own budget to cover the increases, so it's a net zero in covering their extra expenditures. And it was for a total of $391,000. So when you look through the detail, they took line items out of their other areas, from GIS mapping and from other areas through the general fund in order to make up their differences. Kudos, fantastic job. So the $430,000 that I'm referring to does not include any of that because that's a net zero. It net zeroed out. There's an additional $430,000 that's being allocated or being spent, added to the budget so it can be the bills paid. And part of it is wildland fire deployments. And I'm surprised and shocked, actually, because when I have asked about the coverage of sending our firefighters to do wildland fire deployments, I was always told that the money that came back in covered the costs. So I was really surprised to see that we're having a transfer from the Wildland Fire Fund, which is what I would expect, of $651,000. But we also have to pay an additional $46,946 out of undesignated cash in a year in which we're already dipping into the reserves until we get a final totality at the end of the year. So I'm a little shocked that we have undesignated cash to make up the balance on this deployment. I have 2 minutes and 38 seconds to go. The other one that is in here, there's a minor one for the drainage utility, stormwater drainage utility. We have to pay for the government buildings. That's $3,000. There's also one for the mayor's office, which was for an appraisal that was done, which was $20,800. But another one is the $127,983 in some sense that is related to the IACP grant. And I'm pretty sure that one came before City Council and was pre-approved, so it just needs to be added here. And that pretty much leads me, and then, sorry, the one that was added between first and second reading is the $89,441 for the additional 2018 detoxification center costs. And I believe City Council authorized that one as well because we have an agreement between the Sheriff's Department and our Police Department. And then there's one that is for the software. And so I would have thought that this $143,000 that's being pulled out of undesignated cash would have already been included in the budget since we've been on this software for a while now. So really, and I have a minute 21. See, I knew I'd only have 5 minutes, so I tried to prepare this so that I was pretty succinct in this with my cold. But if I may direct a question now to the Chief Financial Officer.
Yes.
Thank you. So Pauline, on the wildland fire deployment and using the almost $47,000 of undesignated cash, did City Council approve that? Did this come before City Council for an approval before today?
Actually, that was for the military deployments. The amount transferred from wildland fire was from the wildland fire deployments, and the rest was on the military deployments.
Okay, so this is military deployments that's coming out of undesignated cash?
Correct, and that's stuff that we obviously don't necessarily know ahead of time.
Okay, so that's being made up at the end of this year?
Correct.
Thank you. Great, because that completes or finishes what I've always been told is that the wildland money coming in offsets what we have to pay at the end of the year for the expenses.
And it does.
So they're still covering themselves. Good. And then the $143,000 for the software, almost $143,500. Did that come before City Council with pre-approval, or is it being approved today?
It's being approved today. In the past, it has been part of what was budgeted through CIP for the Tyler software until 2018 was the first year that it came out of the individual departments. And so that's why it's one of those that it wasn't budgeted for, because we had forgotten that it was coming out of the CIP fund prior to that. It's already been paid, the cash has already been spent, and so while it says that we're going to have undesignated cash for the difference, I know I did a little bit of offset, it's not going to decrease our cash any further than what's already been decreased.
Okay, so what was basically reported, I think the last one we had was October.
Correct, I think November's coming next, this next
So
round.
October's balance already had this money taken out of it as far as paid?
Correct, because it's due usually around March timeframe.
Okay. But this is the first time the City Council has actually approved, I mean, obviously we have to pay it, but,
It was actually approved as part of the contract itself.
Okay.
For the ongoing maintenance fees. However, the budgeting part of it is just now coming before you. And it was included in the 2019 budget.
okay. And then the appraisal cost, I guess I'll let you answer this one unless you want to direct it to the mayor, but the appraisal cost for the mayor, and I know I'm out of time, but this is my last question. The appraisal cost that the mayor did for an appraisal, did that, since it was under the $25,000, it didn't require City Council approval?
Correct.
But this requires City Council approval to give him the money to pay for the appraisal?
For the budget authority, correct.
So here's my question. If a department director, the mayor being one of them, can make a purchase less than $25,000, but if they have to increase their budget, shouldn't that come before City Council before we get to the last 3 days of the year?
I will tell you they tried to absorb some of the cost within their department first before bringing it forward. They were successful in using partially the budget that was already approved, so this is just the remaining amount. Typically, that would also be required of the department, the other department directors as well. They would try to need to absorb it. If it's something completely out of the ordinary, I would have to defer to the mayor if he told you ahead of time that he was going to ask for this to be done or not. Normally, a department director would probably mention something before signing if it wasn't budgeted.
Okay. Thank you. I know that I'm out of time, but I do think it's only fair to the public to know what these expenses are, especially when it's coming out of undesignated cash and we're running such a tight year with the revenues coming in versus the expenses going out. I realize, thank you, Pauline, for saying that a lot of these have already been paid, so it's really not going to reduce it. But again, as you guys know, I'm just going to say that was an additional, what we're approving today is an additional $430,000 added to the 2018 budget, even if it's already been paid, So that actually makes our budget for 2018 slightly higher until we get the true-up, which will be 18 months from now,
No, not quite that far.
year from now?
No, we should know by May 1st.
By
is
May.
when we have to give you that information. I just want to point out, the only one that I'm aware of that hasn't been paid out from the cash balance already is that dispatch amount. They notified us late in the game, per se. At least the finance office got notified late in the game for the additional funding. So
And that's the $89,441.04. But that's
Correct.
part of our agreement with the county.
That is correct. They probably should have told us before they did, and, but that will be in their final check that gets approved here, the next action item, hopefully.
Thank you, Mayor. I will finally yield the floor.
Okay, Richie Nordstrom,
Thank you, Mayor.
you're out of time.
Thank you. You'll no. Borrow some of Alderman Scott's staff. A question for the Chief Financial Officer.
Yes, go ahead.
Pauline, I've gotten an email, and I don't know if you're aware of this, from Tracy, but asked a question about the undesignated cash buildup. Are we doing okay in the undesignated cash buildup?
At the end of November, we had nearly $9.8 million in general fund cash, and so that obviously will change a little bit with what we pay in December, but it's better than what it was the previous couple months.
And I also got the impression that it wasn't near, it came in at a good amount, so we're looking okay as far as undesignated cash. Sorry, maybe I have to sing this out so I don't stumble, but generally we're doing okay.
I think her email stated that we actually expected more in the supplemental budget to be coming out of undesignated cash. It very much helped that Public Works was able to offset some of their costs from other divisions within the Public Works Department, but usually it's more than a $400,000 undesignated cash at the end of the year. That's what she was referring to. Like I said, there's about $9.8 million at the end of November. I think that report is on this next set of meetings, but as far as where we'll end up at the end of the year, I'll know better at about the 10th or 15th of January.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay, we need a motion on item number 1, I think.
You
I don't
had a
think we have a
motion,
motion.
not a second.
Who made the motion? Oh, I didn't hear you. Motion to approve by Chad?
Second.
And second by Drury. All in favor of approval of item number 1? Say aye. Opposed?
Here.
Motion carries. Bill list, item number 2, go to Finance Officer Pauline Sumption.
There are no additions to the bill list. So the total is $4,962,661.39.
Motion to approve by Nordstrom, second by Modrick. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn? Moved by Solomon, second by Roberts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.